Browns 0-8 at home. Just sad.
I haven't heard you this down since Dr. Brown got fired. It's a game that we were in, and it's a game that we just don't finish.
I don't want to watch anymore.
Why? Why does that happen? I'm so sick of watching those plays.
0-16.
I definitely do not want to watch it all 22.
That's up and down to me. That looks like dysfunction. Welcome back, Survivors, episode 37, season 3. This is Surviving the Season post-game show for the Atlanta Falcons visiting town on Sunday. I'm Adam Greggs here.
Yo! What's going on?
Up?
What is happening?
Nothing. Transactions. We do have some transactions, and we have a game.
Yep, game and then the bye week.
Yeah,
so
finally bye week.
Looking at the injury report, I know we want to get into transactions, but just looking at the length of the injury report, I would say the bye week is welcomed.
Yeah, ridiculous. The injury report is ridiculous. It's the whole fucking sheet. Everybody's hurt, nobody's healthy, and EJ Gaines, IR. Christian Kirksey, IR. Denzel Rice, good night.
He's just done. See ya, buddy. Thanks for your contribution, or lack thereof.
Yeah, so Philip Gaines was claimed off of waivers from Buffalo. Jermaine Whitehead comes in from Green Bay. They are both defensive backs.
Terrible. Oh.
Justin Burris from the Jets practice squad. And Arian Springs comes to the practice squad. 4 defensive backs signed. This is a special teams thing, right?
Well, that Spriggs has been here a couple times. He was the Oregon cornerback, if you recall. Yeah, I remember he had a visit with us. But, it's the fact that we are super crazy injured. Ward, it looks like is going to play this week, but you have no Gaines. You have no... Are we thinking Mitchell's going to be back by any chance? He went to IR, but does he have an opportunity to come back?
He does.
Okay, so there's a chance that we get him back. What week was it that he got injured?
That's a good question.
4?
But yeah, and then he has to go like 8 weeks off.
8 weeks, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it would still be 2 or 3 more weeks before he could come back. Good news is I believe Schober is back this week.
Yes, he was practicing, or at least he was going to be ready, they thought. Okay. That's good.
Jerome Harrison. No. What's his name? What's Harrison's name?
Desmond Harrison.
Left tackle. I guess he was practicing, but are we going with Greg Robinson or are we going with Harrison? Or after watching the film, what's your take there?
What's up with the illness, though? What kind of illness does he have where if you have the flu, Michael Jordan played in the finals with the flu, if you recall. Jesus Remember? Christ. He scored 50 points in the finals. Desmond Harrison does not have the Michael Jordan gene. We just found that out. That's for sure. I don't know if MJ scored 50 points that game, but remember how ridiculous it was. He has the flu. He made a shot. Okay, so after watching the film, I'm glad you brought this up because I was actually going to talk about it. Greg Robinson had a good day blocking, right? Yeah. He did a good job in pass protection. He wasn't nearly as good in run blocking. You would think
weird, right? Because
that should be that should be his forte, right? Mm-hmm. That's what he was known for coming out of Auburn. They thought that was going to be what he would be good at early, and he would struggle in pass protection. He was a little raw, I'm going, okay, yeah, he's doing a good job, but he's going up against Breland Speaks, who played defensive tackle for the most part. Almost most of the snaps were against Breland Speaks, who is not an edge rusher.
So not that tough of an assignment.
Yeah. So if they do throw Greg Robinson out there this week, and he goes up against Vic Beasley or who else do they have? They just signed the dude from the Raiders, Bruce Irvin, Brooks Reed, Tack McKinley. Okay, those are real pass rushers. So we'll find out what is Greg Robinson really made of. Has he been improving? Because if you recall, he wasn't that good. I mean, Myles Garrett was running right through him in preseason at practices. If you went to out to the practices. You see that on a daily basis. Remember Hard Knocks, you saw NASA bull rushing, like the thing Greg Robinson should be good at, being bull rushed into the ground. I mean, that's what we're worried about with Harrison. That, Greg Robinson has the body to be an elite tackle. Like, he's a big boy. He should be able to hold up against bull rushes. But it's like his play strength is not where you think it would be when you look at his body, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. So I want to know how much of it is going up against Breland Speaks and how much of it is maybe you did actually improve.
Yeah, well, Desmond Harrison didn't have the easiest assignments when he's been in there the last whatever games.
What was it like? There was a week where he didn't have a very tough assignment, but he hasn't played. It seemed like he's had moments where you go, ooh, he really moves really well. Like he moves exceptionally well for a tackle, and you could really work with that. That's the kind of that's what you like to see out of your left tackle, because he'll be able to handle those speed guys. But he's just so overmatched when it comes to the power game. He's just so weak that everybody is now just trying to bowl him over. So that's a problem. I mean, you can't continue to do that. I think you probably have a better chance of getting Greg Robinson in there and seeing. We talked about that. Should a change be made? I think you stick with Greg Robinson for one more week. See if he can play at a even just taking it one step higher. All you need is half a second to a full second more for Baker to get these balls out of his hands. A lot of times, the ball that got stripped from him, now that came from the opposite side. The other tackle completely, Hubbard. Yeah, Hubbard got beat on that one. That was D Ford now. So D Ford went up against Hubbard. For the most part, Hubbard held his own. But D Ford's the actual good rusher. Breland Speaks is not. So you kind of expect Greg Robinson to win that matchup 9 times out of 10.
Might as well give him another shot. If Baker can stay clean, you at least have a chance to win, or Baker doesn't get hurt, which is probably more important right now in this sort of evaluation mode that the Browns are probably going to settle into.
Yeah. So are we currently at 53? Because I thought we had an open roster spot at one.
Yeah, with Kirksey and Gaines going to IR and Rice waived. No, it sounds like they filled them.
Okay.
Because if you bring in Burris from the Jets practice squad, he has to go to the
active roster.
Active roster, yeah. And those two dudes off of waivers have to go to the active roster as well. So that's 3 dudes. That's probably right.
Okay.
It does seem like we should have more space.
Yeah, I feel like we're one guy short before, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe we're right.
Well, Ray Armstrong is.
Yes, I forgot he was on. He was on the team.
Even play last week, or did he even dress? I don't even. He was active. I don't think he played, but or I didn't look at the snap count. So
he has a. Let me pull him up here.
I don't want to.
It says 187 snaps, but I think that was not with the Browns.
Prior.
Dang it. Yeah. I don't have. Dang it. Shucks. You know what sucks? Pro Football Focus on your laptop is terrible, but it's good on your phone. Explain that.
I don't know.
That's all I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Well, they're not our sponsor yet, so you can say whatever you want.
I don't know. I can't find it now because I can't get the damn thing to work.
We'll just assume he didn't play because nobody mentioned him.
If he did, it was only on special teams.
But we have to remember he's on the current 53 as well, so I think that might be the spot that we're forgetting about.
Yeah, it could be.
Probably not important.
No.
The important part was Schobert coming back. That should be helpful. Speaking of linebackers, Jamie Collins took some heat this week for some of his film.
Well-deserved heat. Yeah, you tend to wonder. Let me ask you this. Like, this might play into a bit of Jamie Collins' thinking. How thrilled are you to watch the games every Sunday right now?
Yeah, I'm not real like fired up. I was way more fired up early in the season, and then it just kind of.
So was I.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of like, we're playing Kansas City. All right, I'll tune in and take notes, but not that stoked.
And I'm not saying, I mean, hey, we don't get paid millions of dollars to watch the game, okay, like he does to play the game. But at the same time, I think they had high hopes in that building. I think they preached high hopes. I know we've been saying we've said it with a little bit of caution, saying also at the same time, like, okay, we still might be a year away, but at the same time, there's a lot of awesome things to look forward to here. There's a chance if everything goes correct, everything goes to plan. If the injury report doesn't look like the honey-do list that my wife gives me on the weekends, right? So maybe we would have a chance to be in a lot more of these games, winning a lot more. I mean, we've been in a ton of games, but we haven't pulled through. So I'm wondering how much of that's taking toll on the team, where they thought, hey, we're going to be competing this year. Maybe not for a playoff spot, but trying, maybe for that last playoff spot. We're good enough. We got enough talent on this team to do it. And then they just have been getting their ass kicked. The coach gets fired. The offense is giving the defense no hope at all. They just cannot do anything. And then the defense is sort of mailing it in. And Jamie Collins probably knows he's on the last year of his contract here. He knows he's getting overpaid. 90% of the fans know that there's no chance that he's going to be back next year. Is it an excuse for not him? No, but I'm just trying to get into the psyche of Jamie Collins at this moment.
At some point, you got to realize, hey, I'm on a contract year. If I want to get a job next year, I sort of got to be invested in this. And it's hard to be invested in shit you don't want to be. I mean, yeah, he gets paid to play football, but if he's not into it, he's not into it. You can hardly blame the kid.
Don't you think it's easier to be into it when your team's winning? Like that's probably a big part of it. Yeah. So now if he's still going to get paid. That's the thing. Like, yeah, he can play like shit. Somebody's still going to pay him because he's a veteran, and maybe he loses some money, but he's made a fuck ton of money here in the last 2 years. So he's got money to put in the bank. He's pretty much set for life. The rest of it is all gravy at this point.
Yeah. I think it's sort of a problem that is almost conducive to the NFL. I think football is a hard sport to really, really love to play. And maybe now with the injuries and the concussions and everything, it seems a little more like dudes are walking away from the sport. Where baseball players, they just play for money for 20 years.
Yeah, you can play. Yeah, I was going to say you can play 20 years there. And yeah, you might get hit by a ball, 6-7 times a year or something. You're not getting hit by a 250-pound dude getting smacked going across the middle 6 or 7 times a game. It's a little bit different.
You bang your head into somebody, you're just like, you know what? Do I really need to do this? And I don't know. I think football's an easy game to really just not want to do. But I think the trick to being a GM in this league is find people that want to do it. Because you can find players around the league that want.
That's why they always. Yeah, that's why they always talk about, hey, you got to have the dogs, right? Because a guy he's a straight, if he's just a dog, like he doesn't give a shit. Like he's just playing for the love of it. Yeah, I get paid on the side, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to go in there and mix it up every single week. I'm going to play my heart out like that. There's people that just have that mentality, right? I mean, we know that. You have to figure it out. You do like psychological evaluations of these guys to figure out who has that in them. Who wants, like Baker Mayfield, and he's not putting his body on the line like a linebacker is every week per se, because he's so protected. He's like an endangered species at this moment, just being a quarterback. So it's a little bit different, but at the same time, he's got that mentality of, dude, like I'm coming in here and I'm playing hard because I want to have success for not only me, but everybody around me, everybody on this team. I want them to feel what it feels like to be a winner, to be a champion. Like we're going to do that together. We're going to, you have to have that. Yeah, and I don't know if Jamie Collins has that.
Yeah, your quarterback has to have that inherently because he can sort of bring up the level. And I think you need a defensive leader. Ray Lewis is kind of a douche, but there was never a second on that Ravens defense where Ray Lewis did not have 10 other dudes completely bought in to playing defense on that team.
Exactly. Exactly. And then, we talk about that. I mean, for the last 2 years, we've said who's the leaders on offense, who's the leaders on defense. We know who the leader on offense is, and we hope, like, Myles Garrett's not necessarily the guy who's super vocal. We see it's Kirksey right now, but if Kirksey can't back up the vocal part of it with his play because he's been bad, in my opinion, well, now he's out, so they got to find a different leader. It seems like sort of like Ogunjobi is a bit of a leader. We know Peppers is going to be there. The more Peppers plays well, the more that he keeps on another year in this thing. He seems to be a guy who's super fiery, who's going to be that leader. So we sort of talked about that.
He vets up too, because right now he's just a kid. So he needs to vet up a little bit, and then he'll get clout with the younger dudes that you bring in to play linebacker and go, hey, we're going to smash some heads, So it's just a tough situation, and what are you going to do? We're sitting here doing a podcast and being critical or whatever, but if you can't talk about it, then there's no reason to even talk about it. So.
Well, the point is, it's getting hard because we had so much expectations of better play, and this is what Pete Smith was calling the Hugh tax. We're paying the Hugh tax right now. It's obvious. Like, they kept him around a year too long. There's no reason. Now, maybe it helps out for this next coaching candidate. If you went out and had to find a coach this year, you might, without having a quarterback that it has been confirmed to be in place. Like, you can look at Baker Mayfield and go, they have a legit quarterback in place. They are ready to win games going forward. So now you can say, okay, hey, coach, whatever that I want to have here, John Dorsey reportedly has the say in this thing. Haslam's going to give him the power to go out and find this coach. And then he can go and say, all right, this is my pick of the litter. Let me sell you the Browns. Look at all these stars we have, offense and defense. You can come in. We can keep adding to this, and then when you bring the right, mentality, you bring the right, coaching style. You bring, all that you do as a great coach. Then this thing's just going to take off. It's going to go. So it's a lot easier to sell this year than it was last year without knowing for sure 100% that you have the guy in place at quarterback.
Well, speaking of the Hugh tax. Greg Williams, when he was asked about Jamie Collins' play, he went ahead and went, that's on me, I got to get these guys ready to play. Baker Mayfield, the same thing. Everyone needs to do their jobs, and I can do my job, but I got to be better at my job. I mean, the kid says the right thing every time.
Baker or Greg Williams?
Well, Greg's doing a nice job after Hugh's been sort of let go of taking responsibility for what happened in Kansas, or what happened against Kansas City, which was great. Like he didn't just pass the buck, but when they asked Baker questions, I mean, he's 24 years old. He knows what to say. Get the fuck out of here, you. Like it's not that difficult. Yeah. Listen to what Baker says and copy that. He's half your age, and he already knows how to talk to the media.
Baker could quit football right now, open up his own media, his own PR firm, and teach people like you how to properly speak. But here's the thing: like, we know, what was the guy's name, John Baptiste or whatever the hell the guy that worked, right? They have a guy trying to tell him to say the right thing, and he's obviously they don't follow through on it. So him and John Dorsey. Somebody said to me the other day, well, John Dorsey hasn't stuck his foot in his mouth, right? So Hugh did that, and I said, well, this is a problem after that last press conference. Like, John Dorsey, him going off the cuff, it's going to come back to bite him in the ass. And somebody says, well, John Dorsey hasn't proven to do that yet. And then I thought about it. Yes, he has. He said, we have 0 football players on this team. Did he not? Is that not sticking your foot in your mouth? Why would you say that? So he has done that. He has a history of it. And every time he gets in front of a camera, every time he gets in front of a mic, it ends up being one more sound bite that you go, what is he talking about? This guy just needs to hire a press secretary, okay? He needs to hire Sarah Huckabee.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not real good at talking to the media, but I mean, it's fine. He doesn't have to do that much talking to the media. He can go out there with with Haslam or whatever for the last press conference. I mean, it was painful, but for the most part,
painful.
Your head coach has to talk pretty much every day. So you got to find someone that can communicate to the press. Just don't say stupid shit. That's about it. Like, you don't have to say anything important. You don't have to even answer the questions. Just politicize it all. Just say everything's your fault. We're trying to get better, and then you can so easily brush off these questions.
Yeah, look at the way Bill Belichick does it. I mean, that's what it is. But you say politicize. I mean, look at Hugh Jackson is showing to be one of the best politicians out there right now. I mean, this guy is continuing the media tour to this day. He was on today.
He was on today, yeah.
It's amazing.
With the,
what more
the
could he
worst
say?
Show that he could ever go on too.
What is he doing? Who is it? Who is his handlers? And what are they thinking? Why is this a good idea?
Right, he has an agent who has to book this shit. I don't know what his agent's doing.
He's smacking his forehead every 2 seconds. Every time Hugh accepts another one, he smacks his forehead, going, "What are you doing?"
I wouldn't even tell Hugh. Nobody called today. Nobody asked you to be on their show.
Did First Take call yet? Hey, did Skip Bayless call yet? Nope, no call. Sorry, we got nothing. I'm going to try to find you. I'm calling Cincinnati though. Let me get whatever the Brown guy's name is over there on the phone and see if we can get you a job.
The least surprising thing of Hugh to pop up on would be Paul Brown's podcast, because he seems to fucking get anybody who wants over there on that show.
He's doing excellent work. I was just on today with Jack Duffin. Now, it won't come out till next week, but I was on there. We had a good time. We got you know how he does a cap show every week. So I was like, "Hey Jack, this is right up my alley. Like, let's get nerdy. Let's go."
Right? Yeah. But they're nailing down all kinds of prominent press figures in Cleveland, people that we could never even ask to come on this show because we've just buried them so often. But for what they're doing and bringing on guests and doing the International Browns podcast, shout out to what they're doing and getting great guests for a guest podcast, and nice work, boys.
Yes, excellent job. So the other thing that just came up was there was an article. Well, there's a couple articles about Baker Mayfield. The one I sent to you, now I forgot the name of the guy, but it's stirred up a little bit of talk about Baker Mayfield and what our expectations should be. Kevin Van Valkenburg from ESPN, and in it he had good things to say about Mayfield, but he also was a bit critical, and it's fair to be critical of Mayfield. Like, he's going through rookie growing pains. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not to mention the fact that you would agree, everybody that we've had on the show to talk about the Browns offense would agree that Todd Haley did a terrible job of not getting the actual playmakers involved, like Duke Johnson. We finally see this past week. Freddie Kitchens might actually be a good thing for Baker. But, Baker, he's not Drew Brees, right? He's not today. As we look at Baker, he's not Drew Brees. And what we keep saying is, yes, he's not supposed to be Drew Brees in year one. What you're seeing out of Baker Mayfield with 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and if he ends up with 12, 14 interceptions, that's what's going to happen this year. He's not going to be Matt Ryan, who I believe has 19 touchdowns and 3 interceptions this year. That's not what we're expecting from Baker Mayfield in year one. You have to be able to say, okay, like, this guy is really good for a rookie. Right, there's a difference between 7-year vet and rookie, and you can't put him, you can't grade him on the same scale necessarily. For a rookie, he's playing outstanding, and I don't think anybody should look at it any differently than that. Are we saying he's going to be a future MVP or a future Hall of Famer? No, but it's like the likelihood of him ending up being a very good to a star player is high. Like, he has what it takes. The makeup is there. He has a lot of work to put in. He needs a lot more talent around him. I think there's there's a lot of things you can criticize him about right now. But when you look at it on go back and look and compare him to other rookie quarterbacks, I think you'd be really surprised at how well he looks. Do you remember last year when I broke down DeShone Kizer? Like, what would a decent year for DeShone Kizer look like? And it's basically like, okay, you throw 15 touchdowns and throw 15 interceptions. That's a good season for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think expectations are high for good reasons because we've seen what he could do. He comes in and he plays New York Jets and he goes and he takes them down the field in his first drive, and then did we go into overtime that game? I can't remember, but we end up winning the game, and everybody were walking out like it says in this article that I'm talking about. Everybody's chanting Baker, Baker, and we're all going crazy. Baker Mania is it here, and we see it. We finally got our quarterback, and we couldn't be any happier. And then you have a couple games where it's like letdown. That is what is to be expected. I don't think that you can look at what's happened here and go, I'm starting to question. There's certain guys that do podcasts. Cleveland Browns podcast that questioned Myles Garrett last year. Okay. It's hard to believe that people would question Myles Garrett, but it happened. It happened. And that's sort of what we're hearing from some people. Like, well, is Baker really that good? Yes, he is that good. He is that good. So is he struggling?
Nothing to be worried about here.
Nothing to be worried about.
Yeah. Let the kid play. He's 7 games in, for fuck's sake. Like, so he's
Exactly.
6.5 games in. If we want to like break it down exactly, like 2-5, you could call him with a couple overtime losses and a couple close games. So it's not.
No, we're not calling a quarterback by his record.
Well, I also
ever.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, but what we will say. Yeah. Oh, I mean, he's the only. Do you want to see Tyrod Taylor? Let me ask you this: like, would you rather see Tyrod Taylor playing?
No.
Do you think Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback who's been in the league for 7 years and has taken a team to a playoff? Would you rather see that? Like that? Compare him. You can compare him to Tyrod Taylor. Then you don't compare him to Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, in his prime, or a Tom Brady or something like that. I think that's sort of what people. Well, he's not Carson Wentz. Like, well, he's not as good as Carson Wentz. Yeah, he's not as good as Carson Wentz is today, but go to Carson Wentz's rookie year, and Baker Mayfield is every bit as good as what Carson Wentz was in his rookie year, and better.
Yeah,
the numbers are there.
Yeah, it's a sort of Cleveland panic or something. Is it just we get used to this shit of just being nervous all the time about, or we missed, another miss, another bust. We can't get the right one. We should have picked Darnold. We should have picked Rosen. We should have picked Allen. We should have picked Jackson. Like,
could have had him.
Could have had this guy. It's just we're so fucking jaded by the whole just since we've been back, really.
But I haven't heard that, right? I haven't heard one person, a Cleveland fan, go, "Ooh, this guy's a bust."
No,
that doesn't happen. Like that is not out there. What I think it is national writers going, "Hey, maybe we should just pump the brakes a little bit and let's look at the numbers when you break them down." Well, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. At the same time, like, oh well, his accuracy numbers aren't where they were when he was in college. Yeah, fair point. Right. Again, it's a step up, and like he's a freshman. That's the way you gotta compare. It's a completely new situation he's going into. It needs to take time. It takes let him get the offense completely down. Let him get time with his players. Let him actually get players around him. I mean, good Lord, the weapons that he has to deal with right now are just
fucking
pitiful.
ridiculous. Yeah. Come on, like the people that were running out there, it's joke compared to what other teams have to throw the ball around to. But that's part of building the team. You got the quarterback, you got you put in pieces the last 2 years, and we're gonna go out and get some receivers that where we can be competitive in the next couple of years.
Yep. So I have a couple of things from the last game. Do you want to move on to that a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about...
Before we roll into the next game, let's take a 2-second break to go get a beer.
Okay.
And we're back. Nobody even knew we were gone. Third wall has been busted.
Okay, so let's get into this game a little bit. I was going to bring up the Greg Robinson thing. We talked about that. David Njoku giving up that sack on a max protect. That was miscommunication. Apparently, I don't know what happened. So he was having that discussion with Greg Robinson, like, hey, I thought the protection was sliding to the right, and now you guys are all sliding to the left. Well, that would have left the guy unblocked on the left with the one that actually sacked Baker Mayfield. And I sent you the picture. Did you see the picture of?
Oh, yeah, it's hilarious.
He's discussing the block. Like if he just turns around and goes, "Throw me the ball, Baker! Throw me the ball." He might have been able to catch. I mean, there was nobody over there. He could have caught the ball and ran 20 yards. So hopefully the coaches ripped his ass for that. I mean, the problem sort of is on 3rd down and 6, I think it was. Why are you having David Njoku even block? Put the guy out in a passing route. But at the same time, you have to. Like, he has to get better there. He has to at least be capable of doing simple tasks like that. So he's got to be better there. So there's no excuses for him on that one.
I can give him an excuse. He's 22, and he never knew how to do any of this shit when he came into the league. So
yeah, still
get better. But he almost got Kaiser killed last year, and pretty much lucky we didn't get Baker killed there. So. Yeah, he's got shit to work on. Nobody's gonna be more in his corner than us here at STS. Like, he's got to catch the ball, and he's got to have his head in the game. He's had a couple of false starts. He's had a couple of like miscues. But I think when the focus comes, when the dog comes and he starts to catch the ball, that dude can't be covered. Be happy we got that guy. Like, we cannot just all right, this guy can't catch, let's move on, let's find somebody else. You don't find dudes like this in day 3 or in free agency. Just chill. Nope. Just chill. We're gonna be there.
That ball that Travis Kelce catches, that only Travis Kelce can catch, that Mahomes threw a perfect ball, that is Baker Mayfield to Njoku next year and the year after.
For the next 5 years if we're lucky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But people love to tell you how terrible David Njoku is, and then love to tell you how good number 80 is.
Dude,
but I don't.
Njoku wouldn't have half as many drops. Like, Njoku could make himself look better if he wasn't so fucking wide open all the time. Like, the kid gets open, and then he drops the ball. Like, if he wasn't open, nobody would be like, oh, man, he can't catch. Dude, the only reason he can't catch is because he's wide open all the time. And Baker, admittedly, Baker missed him. He overthrew him in this past game and missed him. I thought Njoku was wide open twice. Baker missed him once and then didn't even see him the other time. But both of those would have been big plays. The dude can get open.
Yes. He's just a mismatch nightmare. I mean, I don't know how many times we can say it. So, I mean, at this point, everybody's probably sick of us talking about it.
Everyone's probably sick of us talking about the Browns, to be honest with you.
You guys are still doing a Browns podcast? Sons of bitches. I can't even watch these games. They're terrible. Mm-hmm. They're terrible. This team sucks. You guys said it's the road to redemption. This is road to garbage. That's what it
is. We need a new hashtag for 2019. Son of a bitch.
The 3rd and 20. I mean, do we need to cover that? First of all, there is a block in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the block in the back?
Obvious.
It's all the way downfield. It's I don't know might have been TJ Carey. I'm not sure who it was on. But the wide receiver is obviously blocking the guy in the back, and he can't make the tackle. But not to mention, before that, there was about 3 or 4 just absolutely horrific angles taken by one BBC, Jamie Collins. I mean, it was absurd. But it's 3rd and 20. How does Greg Williams continue to get beat in 3rd and long by the screenplay? Over and over and over. It's maddening. I cannot take it.
I don't know. Atlanta backs. I don't know if they can catch the ball out of the backfield, but
yes.
Yeah.
Wait till we get there. You want to talk about a quarterback that has weapons? It is just nonstop weapons. Obviously, the injuries to cornerback took a toll. BBC had to go to cornerback, which put Peppers to free safety. I don't know how much of that you noticed. And then Kindred and Peppers were playing the safeties. BBC had to go to cornerback. So that with Randall being out, that was, that made it tough. Now Peppers it's nice that Peppers has that flexibility because he played it last year, but he's obviously not as good in that position than he is up towards the line of scrimmage.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, word from McManaman, ESPN Cleveland, is Randall is practicing and he'll be fine. He'll be back on Sunday.
Did you see his? He had a press conference and they asked him why weren't he wasn't there all last week because he had to go see his own doctor about this groin issue that he's been dealing with. And he really tried to deflect any questions about it. He didn't want to talk about it, but people kept asking him. And they're like, is surgery coming? He's like, nope, good news. It was good news. But he really didn't want to talk about it at all. He wanted to just move on to this game. And they're like, they even said, does the week off, is that going to give you your groin a chance to heal? And he goes, no. It's not going to be good until well, I mean, for us, for Randall, it'll be good, in 2019. But if we were going to the playoffs, Randall would be playing with a bad groin in the playoffs. Yeah.
I mean, it's the NFL. You're 9 games in. Everybody has something right now.
Yeah, and it hasn't just been groin for him. He's had all kinds of injuries. I mean, he's been banged up a lot. He's a tough dude, so you take a week off, that's fine. He's had a ton of things, and we didn't have a chance in hell winning that one. You almost wonder why not just give him this week off, and then you have 3. But he's saying it won't matter anyways. It's not about giving me time off. It's going to take like an off season to get him right.
He needs months off, so put him in there. Maybe it'll even help just to get out there and play. And
I thought Nick Chubb did a good job, of course, even though the average wasn't really there. I thought the blocking didn't give him a lot of holes. The 3-yard touchdown run you watch, it was almost Le'Veon Bell-like with the patience. I thought he did a good job waiting for the hole to open, then he exploded through. And the best part of Nick Chubb, I think the best move that he has is his jump cut. And he shows that off because it is like he will cut and just go. He's got another gear that we're seeing that obviously Hyde doesn't have.
Well, here with that 3-yard run near the goal line there also is running backs tend to panic. I need to get east-west here. I don't have time to play around. And he did let that develop, which I think shows a lot of maturity for a young running back to let that develop near the goal line, where if it's 1st and 10, at midfield, it's not that big of a deal. But near the goal line, that's not an easy one to sort of wait because there's not, because of the lack of spreading out the defense. So I thought that was again, extraordinary play. I know I've called out a couple ones on the goal line that seem like just sort of regular plays through these first 9 games that I sort of get excited about. A block here, or a running back move here, Hyde getting in the end zone on that one, I thought was just like crazy good. I don't know if we give enough credit to these dudes for these short yardage plays.
Yeah, it takes a certain mentality to grind it up in there. Obviously, Duke Johnson was a beast on the day when they finally gave him the ball. There was nothing surprising about that for us because we've preached it for nonstop. This is another good matchup against Atlanta. They're terrible against the running backs, especially catching the ball. So you expect to see him some more, but I thought it was just they showed. You ever see those next gen stats and they show like the routes and they're I think they should take Landry's routes, match them up with Duke's, and then you have to pick out who's who. because every single one is right around the. Most of Duke's obviously are coming out of the backfield now, but you could put them in the slot and they run the same shit. It's like legitimately, we have two guys that kind of do the same thing. One does them way better. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at this today, and then I'm going, why are we paying freaking Jarvis Landry? It's the more you see it, the more you just get sick about it. Okay, so Duke has 29 receptions to Landry's 55. So Yak, which is yards after catch, we know 55 receptions for Landry for 201 yards after reception. That's a 3.7 average. Duke has 183. Duke almost has as much as Landry and almost half the receptions, and is averaging 6.3. Now tell me, who do you want to have the ball in their hands?
Right.
Jarvis Landry or Duke Johnson? This is not hard. Why are we throwing 101 passes to Jarvis Landry? It's enough already. He's on pace to have 200 freaking balls thrown his way. Meanwhile, Duke Johnson has 29 receptions. Now, Freddie Kitchens seems to have an idea of how exactly he's going to do this offense, and it's going to be through Duke Johnson. And God bless him. If he is, then I think you're going to start seeing Baker's numbers go up a bit because you're finally going to get the ball in the right people's hands.
Yeah, this is what sucks about Josh Gordon not being here. Where Baker would have a legitimate weapon on the outside to change some shit around. But it is nice to see that we're getting Duke in there. Landry's not going to be part of that outside threat. Let's run 4 verts or whatever.
Yep.
We can't do that anymore. So
what do you think Jarvis Landry's average per catch right now is? He was all the way up to 12, and everybody was saying, "See, they're doing different things." I'm
going to say 10 because I think he's probably been better here than he was in Miami. So maybe 11 yards.
But last year was the worst of his career. They did have him run a lot more shorter routes last year for Miami. But no, he's a 10.5.
10.5, okay.
10.5. Mm-hmm. Not getting it done.
I think sometimes, though, he's also like, it's 3rd and 12. I think sometimes he's just sort of a last resort. And then so he
is.
Does take a knock to that number. But
so you see, that's a play that they love to run. It's 3rd down and 12. They run. It's basically a glorified screen, but we're going to do it with our wide receiver. We're going to block downfield because they're going to play soft coverage. They're going to play a shell coverage, like 10 yards off the ball. Now we're going to take all our wide receivers and we're going to run a screen, and they're going to go block, and we're going to throw it to Jarvis Landry underneath. But the problem is Jarvis Landry doesn't make people miss like Duke Johnson. So run it with Duke Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that so hard?
No, I would never run a scripted play to Landry there. But I mean, when it's like Landry's, trying to fit into the zone and he's just the last person to throw it to, I think sometimes he just gets the ball because he's open.
When it comes to zone, like he's very smart. There's things that he does very well, but when you don't have anybody on the outside to take pressure off, it's like sort of like J.R. Smith is for the Cavs.
Yeah.
If you don't have LeBron or you don't have Kyrie to take the pressure off J.R. Smith, you're done. Okay, you have to have legitimate players on the outside to take pressure off of Landry. Because if you play man coverage on Landry, just like we said when we first got him, you can stop Landry by playing man coverage on him because he just does not have the athletic ability to get away. It's a problem. But if you can get the middle of the field open because your outside receivers are so damn good that they have to worry about them, Landry will find an open spot and he will catch the ball. So there is things he can do, but you have to give him somebody on the outside to really to make Jarvis Landry to be what he can be. Paying him to be a number one guy and then expecting him to be that number one guy is just where it's wrong this year. Now, yes, missing Josh Gordon is huge. If Josh Gordon's here, it's probably a lot easier for Jarvis Landry, let's be honest. But it's also a good thing that Josh Gordon isn't here if he's not buying in 100%. I mean,
agreed. Yeah.
So there's nothing more. But I was going to get into the receivers because you brought that up, the outside receivers. Now, again, Callaway had a couple catches, but he's inconsistent. He dropped one. He's just super inconsistent, but he's playing better than what Damian Ratley is. And my problem with Damian Ratley right now is that he's playing completely like a rookie. And he's done a couple things where he starts looking good. But let's go back to the Hayden interception that he got on him, where I talked about he needs to go up and make sure that ball doesn't get intercepted. Yeah. Again, this week, he's getting bullied, and he's got the body to do the bullying. Like, he's a good-sized receiver. He needs to play stronger than what he is. He's not doing that. He's playing as if he's, he's playing like a rookie. That's really what it is. And what you want to see and what you want those coaches to stay on him about is impose your will. Play
Agreed.
Like what your body is. Play up to that 6'2", 215-pound frame.
First of all, you can never give up an interception at that size against an NFL, against like a dude like Hayden. Second of all, you have about a 90% chance, it's like 90-10 that they're going to call you for offensive pass interference, or they're going to call the defender. You can be aggressive as fuck as an NFL receiver right now.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They're not going to call a penalty on you. They're going to call it on the defender, or they're going to call nothing. So literally get handsy, get aggressive, shove, do whatever you need to do. Just those balls cannot get picked off.
I bet you I see 1 or 2 touchdowns a week.
Yeah,
where the offensive guy pushes off to catch the ball and it doesn't get called.
No, that 1 or 2 touchdowns per game a week. Yeah, that's almost all of them. I mean, the top wide receivers in the league know how to create separation.
Yeah,
that's what they call it now. Creating separation. I'm
talking about like. Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about ones where it should be called 100%. Yeah, yes, but yeah, you're right.
That's
what
NFL
a lot of
creating separation.
Right.
The subtle push. Learn how to get away with it without extending your arms, shit like that. The shit that the referees look for, you can push off without extending.
Right.
Officials are looking for very specific things, so you can get away with it. And hey, he's a rookie. He's played 4 games, Ratley, if that. Callaway's played 5-6 games. They'll get better at it.
I expect it. Yeah, I expect it, but at the same time, that's the problem. So these are the things that are sort of hamstringing Baker Mayfield's progression because you're going, okay, well, Baker's struggling. Well, yeah, he's starting to Damian Ratley, who's playing like a 6th-round guy right now.
Yeah, 100%.
He's a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to play better. These are teaching points, and he can't. He has the physical attributes to be that. Now, those are the kinds of things you can't overcome just being slow as shit and not being able to catch. You can overcome technique. These are technique issues.
Comes down to coaching, comes down to reps, being in there. You see this all the time with undrafted free agents. They're not that good. Then you go out there and you start playing good. Now they start going, hey, I'm good at this. You get an ego, you get positive reinforcement. Next thing you know, you can be a receiver.
All right, that's all I had on the game. I don't know if you had anything else.
No, let's move on.
Yep.
All right, Atlanta coming to Cleveland. Atlanta's 4-4. Browns 6-1. Game is 1:00 on Sunday. 6-point spread. Break it down, Sir Greg.
What do you think of 6 points? First of all, if you were a betting man, where would you bet?
Well, I'd like to see where the money is going right now. I
don't care what public thinks.
Yeah, well, they had a ton of money coming in early on KC last week, and those people got paid off, which is rare because of the 14-point spread, and KC did cover by 16 with a few points.
I thought it was 12 last week.
Yeah, it was. It opened 8 or 9, and then went up to 12 or 13. Yeah, you're right. It was 12. So Casey Betters did get paid off with the early money. So I'd like to see where this one's going to go.
Atlanta crushed Washington. Now, I think they've been playing better lately. I don't know if you have what their recent games are, but they absolutely annihilated Washington last week, and I got a chance to go back and watch it. And offensively, they are really clicking. Now, defensively, they are terrible. Offensively, this is what you're talking about. This is what your dream wide receiver core is. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu. If one of those get injured, you throw Justin Hardy out there. You got Marvin Hall, guy that can get deep. Those are 3 legitimate wide receivers, and then you compare those to the Browns, and it's laughable. Okay, Landry's better than Sanu. That's it.
Well, Ridley, the first round pick, awesome route runner. He's not like a burner, but what a perfect third
compliment
dude to throw in there between Julio Jones, who barely has scored this year because Ridley was taking so many of his throws, and Sanu's scored a ton of times this year, hasn't he?
Well, okay, so Julio Jones only has 1 touchdown on the year.
Yeah, it's crazy,
right? He's caught 60 balls to Landry's 55. Okay, he's had 10 less targets, so 91 targets for 60 receptions. So it's pretty close. You go, hey, Landry's almost as good. And then you go, oh, what's Julio got for yardage? 933 to 578. He's averaging 15 yards a catch, dude. It's not even comparable. And this is actually a good year when it comes, because when you look at a wide receiver, you go, all right, what's his 20-plus plays? Because you need those chunk plays. Like the chunk plays are what gets you in scoring position. You can't just go 5 yards a play and expect your offense to drive down the field and score touchdowns. You have to have a chunk play in there from time to time to really be able to put points on the board. And this has been a good year for Landry. He actually has 8 20-plus yard receptions and still only has 578 yards. So, which is amazing. So that's 160 yards. Okay. So you take away, so you got 43. He's got 43 receptions for 400. It's not good outside of those. It's really bad. It's really bad. But Julio Jones can get down the field. He can do those things. And Calvin Ridley is, like you said, the ultimate compliment. I think he's got 30-some receptions on the year. 33, I believe. Yeah, 33, and he's doing it efficiently for 44 targets. So even he, in 33 reception, has 463 yards and a 14-yard average. And Julio doesn't have those touchdowns like you were talking about, but Calvin Ridley is getting the benefit. So he's got 7 touchdowns on the year. So he's getting it done.
I know we're backing up to the clock here. How do you want to defend this?
You can't. So
with our obviously right now,
you want to stop. They don't run the ball as well as what they have in the past, like when Shanahan was there. And not only that, Devontae Freeman is out for the year. So it's Tevin Coleman, who had a ton of big holes. Like the offensive line is legitimately really good for the Falcons, and that's headed up by Alex Mack, who we all know as ex-Browns. He was an ex-Brown who we all know as Browns fans. But Jake Matthews is an offensive tackle who's very good. Ryan Schrader is the other tackle. Their 2 guards are out, but they're still able to get some big holes. Tevin Coleman, what he does well, he doesn't run the ball as nearly as well as Devontae Freeman, but he catches the ball out of the backfield and does an excellent job there, and we struggle with that. So he's got 20 receptions on a year, 205 yards, 4 touchdowns there. And then they have this, you probably know this guy, they drafted from Southern Miss, Ito Smith. Yeah. Yes. And he's playing really well. Now, he's only averaging 3.6 yards a carry, but he's getting tough yardage. He's getting a lot of tough yardage. He's got 4 touchdowns on the year as well. So if anything, you need to stop the pass first. When you go to DVOA and you look at the offense, Atlanta's 6th by DVOA standards. That's Football Outsiders again for anybody that is new to the show. Pass efficiency, they're 4th, and in the rush, they're 22nd. So if you're going to win anywhere, it's stopping them in the pass. The nice thing about Cleveland is we're good against the pass compared to the rest of the league, okay? I know we watch it every week and we go, we just got killed by Kansas City. And yes, that took a hit in what our defense does. So our defense went all the way from third. Remember I was talking about that last week?
Yep.
DVOA third. We dropped all the way down to 11th after the Kansas City game.
Oh, shit.
But we're still second in the pass. Where we're struggling at is the run defense, and we're 30th in run defense, okay? So that is a good matchup for the Browns, obviously. But are we going to have the players there to stop the pass is the question.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You asked about the Falcons' record. They're 4-4. They started out 1-4. They lost to the Eagles, Saints, Bengals, and Steelers. Tough losses. They beat the Panthers in week 2. Well, then they've won 3 in a row. Bucks, Giants, and Redskins. A little bit easier games. Of the schedule.
Yep.
So they're sort of winning those games that they should win, and they might be losing the tough games. But those tough games that they've lost are pretty close, except for the Steelers game.
Yeah, and their biggest problem is their defense has been horrific. So, I think what you're going to see, what you saw early on, is not the Falcons that you're going to see. Probably as we get deeper into the season, the Falcons are going to start winning more of these games. I would, 6 points probably. At the end of the day, not enough. I imagine they're going to smack us up with all the injuries we have, but it'll be interesting.
Do you have a specific target for Ward? I
don't think. Here's the thing:
we're rolling with here in the secondary.
Okay, so you know how the one of the things the Patriots do is they double your best receiver, and then they take their best cornerback and they put that on your second best receiver to shut them down. So if I was the Browns, I would take Ward, I would put him on Calvin Ridley, have him shut down Calvin Ridley, and then I would double Julio Jones. Now, Mohamed Sanu can beat you in the slot, and he does. He's very capable, but I would much rather lose to Mohamed Sanu or Austin Hooper than I would to Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I think that's the way that the Browns should attack it, personally.
Agreed there. Tight end wise, have they been super successful, or is this something we can handle with
Hooper's
back and
Hooper's quality. I mean, he's a quality player. He's got 36 receptions, 362 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But yeah, this is not a premier Travis Kelce, Gronkowski type guy. He's doable. He's able to be covered.
And our pass rush, can we get there with 4? Do we got a blitz? Matt Ryan seems like the kind of quarterback that if you blitz him, he's gonna knock you up.
Well, Matt Ryan is completing 70.8% of his passes this year, and 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's taken 22 sacks on the year. He gets the ball out relatively quick. I wouldn't be surprised if we find a way to get to him once or twice. But that's not going to be. I don't think that's what's really going to affect Matt Ryan so much.
The Browns
they have a decent enough line
getting turnovers. So if you can't force some turnovers, that could be trouble. Let's move to the other side of the ball. You did mention that their defense hasn't been spectacular. They've given up 226 points this year, while scoring 228. For comparison's sake, New Orleans has given up 218, Tampa Bay 275. What do we need to do offensively to be competitive here?
Right. Well, real quick, the turnover differential, the Atlanta's +3. Okay, we're +11. So we're first in the league at +11, and Atlanta's +3. So that's 14th in the league. So yeah, they're doing a better job of taking care of the ball, a solid job. So that's probably not the way we're going to win there. Offensively, they're just not good defensively. So if you go to DVOA, defensively they are 30th in the league, 28th against the pass, 31st against the run. This is a team where now I have not preached about running the ball. I always say this is a passing league. You got to pass it. this might be one of those weeks where we want to slow down the the opposing offense, and we might want to go with a lot of Nick Chubb and then a lot of Duke Johnson. And I'm talking about 20 carries with Nick Chubb, 10 carries with Duke Johnson, another 10 receptions for Duke Johnson, that kind of game. And we're going to grind it out. Yeah. I think that's the best way. And they do a decent job. I mean, if you look at time of possession that's equal to ours, they're above average over 30 minutes. But they're a high-powered offense. But you can move it on them. You can pass it. The problem is the Browns, again, DVOA, we're 30th in the pass. Like, we just have not been getting it done there. 21st in the rush game, and I think we can do a better job at the rush game, especially against this defensive line. Now, they went and picked up Bruce Irvin this week, but they're not big up front. Like, Vic Beasley is an undersized defensive end. Grady Jarrett is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. So if you're going to have a problem running anywhere, it's going to be like, you don't want to run it directly at him, but there's other ways that we can push around these other defenders. Like there's ways to create holes. Their linebackers are banged up. The safety Kazee is having a really good year, but they're banged up, man, big time on the defensive side. They're missing a safety, they're missing a linebacker, and there's ways to beat them there. I think this is a Duke Johnson game. This is a Nick Chubb game, and that's where it starts. I know they haven't been good against number one wide receivers. I guess we're considering on our team that to be Jarvis Landry. So if you looked at, the one that I thought should have been a breakout game for Jarvis Landry was the Tampa Bay game, and he had a good game. This could be another one of those games for him. It should be. Now, the problem is, how good is he really, right? So we're going to find out this week.
All right. We need to do some predictions.
All right. I will predict, as always, the Browns win. 28-27. It's a close one. They go for two to try to win the game because they go, it's just the Browns. We're going to go for two. we could tie it up with an extra point. We're going to go for two, and then it comes back to biting them in the ass. What do you got?
29-27. Same situation, but the Browns converted a 2-point conversion earlier in the game, so it's going to be.
No, here's what Greg Williams is he's so aggressive. They tied the game 27-27. Greg Williams goes for two anyways.
Because fuck it. That's Greg Williams. I don't give a shit. Actually, the Browns might have a better opportunity to convert a 2-point conversion than they actually have to kick an extra point. So it might actually be prudent to go for two.
Yeah. One of the interesting things when I was looking at it is how they sub through their defensive line. It was pretty funny because I was looking and I'm like, okay, let's see what, like Vic Beasley, he's got the most snaps on their entire defensive line, 400. Okay, and I go, what do the Browns got? Miles has 222 more snaps than him. Ogunjobi has 204. Like, we've played four more games? Yeah. Than what they have because they substitute their defensive line. It's absurd what our defensive line is being asked to do. So that was one of the things where I was just like, I'm looking at it going, this is nonsense. And Grady Jarrett, who's one of the best in the league at defensive tackle, he's played 305 snaps. That's half of what Ogunjobi's played. Half! It's absurd. And I won't even get the other thing I broke down is that Jarvis Landry and Julio Jones essentially have the same contract. Okay? Now, Julio Jones signed his 3 years ago, but still, they're getting paid the same. How do you feel about that, Browns fans? Let's be honest with ourselves.
We could have had Julio Jones, but we traded.
Oh, okay. Now we're not talking about it. All right, I'm not having that discussion this week. That's for sure. Could have had him.
Could have had him.
That's all I got, though.
You remember?
Phil Taylor. Phil Taylor, dude, and he was phenomenal. Let's keep lying to ourselves.
All right, everybody. Do we got anything else?
I do not.
All right, let's get out here. Long show, a little bit, kind of for a preview.
Yes.
Twitter.
You can hit us up on Twitter at STS Podcast, and our email is
survivingtheseason@gmail.com, patreon.com/STS Podcast. If you want to support the show, we would appreciate it very much. Thank you to everyone who has rated us up on iTunes and hitting us up
and
on
everybody
Twitter.
that hasn't, if anybody that hasn't, what the hell are you waiting for, man? Come on. Rate it up. How hard is it? God.
Hashtag Road to Redemption, Greg. Tell them what we say.
Keep on surviving.